Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated Legacy action. Continuing with our Depths-December, we are now playing a competitive Abzan Depths deck. So this is a real player in the metagame. And this is a slightly unusual build, but I want to try it and try some Legolas's quick reflexes. This was a list somebody in my Discord sent me, but Green-White Depths is a well-known and very powerful deck in Legacy. So we're not an out-and-out Depths deck. We do have 3 Dark Depths and 3 Thespian stage to make the combo. But we're kind of like this toolboxy aggro deck in a lot of ways. So we use Elvish Reclaimer and Knight of the Reliquary with a whole bunch of interesting lands to fetch. So we can use our Flagstones of Trokair to ramp out. When we sack it, we get some stuff going. Then we have a load of silver bullets for things like Bojuka Bog, Wastelands, Karakas, Maze of Ith, Sejiri Steppe to protect our stuff. This new card, Echoing Deeps, enters the battlefield as a copy of any card in your graveyard, any land in your graveyard, but it's also a cave. So this means we can Bojuka Bog twice, which is quite nice, or we can go and get another Wasteland going, another Sejiri Steppe. So it kind of doubles up on some of our one-offs in a way, which is kind of interesting to me. We are a Green Sun Zenith deck though, so we can go and get our Dryad Arbor. We have our Sylvan Safekeeper to protect our Merit Lage, and then we're mainly just getting the Reclaimers and the Knights, but we do have an Outland Liberator in the main, a Collector Ouphe in the board, a Gadok Teague in the board, and some Endurances in the board for our Green Sun Zenith. We've got 3 crop rotations as a way of finding all of our nice little lands, and we've got 4 Source to Plowshares, and the black that I mentioned is basically just for Bowmasters in the main, and then sideboard card in Thoughtseize. So we're not heavy into black. So when they say Abzan Depths, it is basically green-white with a tiny splash. Mana base wise, we've got 2 Bayous, 1 Scrubland, and then 2 Savannahs, and then like a bunch of basics and Yavimayas and stuff. So that should be all right. I think the second Bayou, just looking at this list, should probably, maybe it should be a Scrubland for Flagstones purposes, but then you have less green sources. So I'm going to trust the person who sent me this deck to know what they're doing, because they're obviously way more acquainted with this deck than I am. I think they played it at Eternal Weekend as well to a reasonable finish. So ignore me on this thing. I was just trying to think of maximizing Flagstones, but you just play around that with your 4 things you can fetch off it, and then you're away. So this build is a little bit different in that it's running the Legolas's Quick Reflexes, which is a protection spell for our Dark Depths, as well as turning like Knights into removal. We can then do additional activations of our Knights and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a removal and a protection. We're trying to sort of thread the needle. I think 3 might be too many, but we want to see it and we want to showcase the newer cards. So I'm down for running 3, and that's why I chose this list of the various options I had. Sideboard wise, we got some stuff for combo and Deafening Silence. We got some artifact hate, some graveyard hate, a bit more artifact hate that I mentioned earlier, and then just some general good removal that we can bring in, which we can thank our black mana pips for. And yeah, that's the deck. They tend to be kind of slower, grindier games generally, but we can just wombo people with a big 2022, which, if you know me, you know I love to do. Remember to like and subscribe before we jump in, and let's jump in. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? Alright, we can begin with a Reclaimer. That's a pretty fine way to begin the game. It's basically one of the best things we can do on turn 1. So we can do this Reclaimer. We can crop rotate next turn if we want to. Oh, a Force of Will pitching Blighted Agent. So we're looking at an Infect deck, I believe. So there is a Tropical Island. Oh, this is Fenris Cloud as well. This is like the most famous Infect player that I can think of at the moment in Legacy. In the new year, I will be playing some of their Infect builds on the channel at least once, because they put lots of effort into building the decks, and you should definitely check their content out as well. What are we doing with this turn? We can deploy a Reclaimer here. I think that does play into a Daze slightly. I'm willing to play into Daze. I think I am willing to play into Daze. Our opponent hasn't got anything going on. If they want to Daze this, alright, we're just in with a Reclaimer. So if they want to Daze this, they set themselves back a turn, and the more lands we get under us, the easier it's going to be for us to beat their onslaught of little Infect guys getting pumped up and stuff. Right, so there's the Nickmoth Nexus into our Wasteland. Not too bad for us there. Something like a Flagstones would be quite a nice pickup here. We did not get a Flagstones. So I think we are playing Sejiri Steppe here. And we're just going to hold up the Reclaimer. So we can activate, or we can do some Wasteland shenanigans. Another Nexus. Okay. That is interesting. A Blighted Agent, you say? Okay. Let's sacrifice the Sejiri Steppe. We go and get ourselves... I think we do want the Flagstones here just so we can start ramping out a little bit. I think that's better than another Wasteland here. Because we're going to crop rotate this anyway. Okay, a land is an excellent pickup for us. So we can take out their tropical island here. They can't cast Invigorates if they don't have an tropical island. This Blight Agent isn't attacking. We can crop rotate this for a Wasteland and then deploy our Knight. Is that worthwhile here? We do want to crop rotate in this turn cycle, but we can also Reclaimer instead. I guess we can maybe do both. Sure, I think we just pass here and then we see what lands we're going to need. So our opponent could, if they come up with a green source here, they can pump this guy in varying ways. Actually, all of their lands are forest because of our Yavimaya, thinking about it. So we probably want to sack our Yavimaya in the near future. So Ingmoth Nexus is being fired off a... Let's crop rotate this Flagstones. A Force of Will. Only leaves our opponent with 2 cards in hand. I think we want a black source here. And then if we Elvish Reclaimer right now, we can't stop this. But we can get ready for next turn. Alright, we have to hope they don't kill us this turn. Not a great plan necessarily, but our Yavimaya might be jamming us up here. And embiggen. This will pump this a whole bunch. This goes to 7. Now if we get priority, we activate our Reclaimer now because their thing is tapped, so they won't be able to get a forest if we get rid of our Yavimaya. Because the thing we're worried about here is Invigorate. Alright, so this is split second, so we can't do anything about this. We can add mana to our pool, but... Right, so this is going to attack. They know we can't get Sejiri Steppe here. So, I think we're supposed to get rid of this. And we're probably priced into getting Maze of Ith. Although it doesn't feel amazing for us right now. No pun intended. Yep, so we're going to take 8 poison here. So we need to draw Swords to Plowshares. Our opponent's Hellbent. So, Swords to Plowshares is good. We did not draw the Plow. Interesting. Right, we'll jam another Reclaimer. So our opponent is drawing off the top. If they draw a land, then we die. If they draw a pump spell, we might be okay. Is this just activating the Nexus? Okay. We'll untap this one because if we untap the other one, they get to tap it for mana. Do they have Invigorate? They did not draw the Invigorate. Okay, so once again, we need to draw Swords to Plowshares here. Knight of the Reliquary is not Swords to Plowshares. That's us done on that one. Okay. Infect, you say. So Force of Vigor can have text in this matchup. Assassin's Trophy is pretty reasonable. Orcish Bowmasters, very good in this matchup. Crop Rotation is an awkward one because it can be great, or it can kind of jam us up. I don't hate the Thoughtseize, since if we can just take out the 1-pieces, they get fall behind a little bit. Deafening Silence is an interesting one. It stops them from like super comboing over the top. They can only just do a little pump each turn. So these are some options. I don't think we're going to have time to leverage the Sylvan Library. I don't think we're on the... Like, quick Reflexes is kind of removal, but it's a bit situational. I don't think we want the Safekeeper. We don't really need the Bojuka Bog, so that can go. Check out these silences, and we're only looking for one more card to fill. Yeah, it is. This crop rotation into the blue deck is obviously not ideal. But they are like quite an intensive resource deck when they try and kill you. Maybe it's one of the Reflexes. Maybe they're a little bit too situational as a piece of removal. Endurance is fine, but I think we're okay like this. We have a lot of plows. We have a Mox Diamond. Yikes. If anything happens to our Mox Diamond, we are in some trouble. But we have a lot of removal, and our deck is like full of mana sources. It's like 50% mana sources. So you got to believe. Let's play this Mox. Play the Reclaimer. And pass a turn. I'd love to draw a land next turn. And every turn for a few turns. Tropical Island. Please don't bounce our thing. Good. We drew a Thespian stage. Alright. That is acceptable. We can turn this into a Flagstones and then get rid of the Flagstones, and that kind of undoes where we're at. There is an Inkmoth Nexus. There is a Blighted Agent. Sure. Sack this, go and get Flagstones. Another Mox Diamond isn't really the one we were after, was it? So we probably want to begin with a Source of Plowshares on this creature. Okay, that worked. And we can go to attacks, and we can hold up Plow and Legolas' quick reflexes. Not that I think our opponent's going to be doing much in the way of targeting our creatures. A Brainstorm. Moving some stuff around, they can still kill us this turn if they've got enough Invigorates. We might just be going for the 1 chip damage here. But we can... Okay, they're just going for a Blighted Agent. Alright, we're not going to try and plow this around a daze. Sorry, we're not going to try and plow this into a daze. We'll wait and untap and then do the plowing. Interesting. We need to do that. So if we play the Savannah, what we can do is we can attack and then Legolas' quick reflex this guy and then pay 2 mana to crack this so we get rid of this. Is that good enough? Pro's got 5 cards in hand. Could just plow the agent. I think we're going to plow the agent. And then I think we'll just pass and we can either activate our Reclaimer or we can Legolas' quick reflexes, which does give reach, which is an interesting little wrinkle there. Invigorate. Okay. Embiggen. Okay. So this attacks. We do this so we can block. This does not have trample, so we're saving a lot of damage and we've got 2 cards out of it for 2 cards of our own. So it ends up an even trade, even though it doesn't look or feel great. We don't have anything cool with Green Sun Zenith. Actually, is that true? We can go and get... No, we can't get the guy here. The Outland Liberator. It's not going to work. Alright, I think we have to just play the Knight and hope it's good. It's unlikely our opponent has another volley for 10 this turn. But they can quite conceivably bash us for a reasonable chunk. Yep, so they're coming in for 3 this turn, I believe. Alright. So now what? Now we can go and get any land we require. Is there anything that we can get with our Green Sun? There is, isn't there? So this has to get a forest or a plains if we want to use the Knight of the Reliquary. So if we go and get a forest, it's probably fine. Oh, we're sacrificing in a second anyway. Right, let's get the Outland Liberator. This can do some work. So we can blow up a thing and we can also get a Wasteland. Kind of starting to put our opponent in the squeeze now. A lot of mana sources over there for our opponent. A Glistener Elf, sure. Animating the Nexus. Let's blow this up. Right, so they got the quick reflexes here. So we're going to take 2 poison. Feels like we're kind of under the gun a lot in this matchup. Yep, so this is going to put 2 counters on our Knight. So we probably get a Wasteland here. Pretty good. Let's get our Bowmasters down, ping this guy. And can Wasteland this. Get another Wasteland. Take out their other creature. And there we go. We can't sacrifice Flagstones because it's not a plains or a forest. Alright, we managed to grind our way through there. That was a really good game, actually. Now we have to do that on the draw, which feels like it's going to be a lot more difficult. Do we want things like Force of Vigor here just for their guy? I don't think we do. It doesn't feel like a winning proposition. I think we're just going to go back in like this. Okay, we have a removal spell and then nothing else for a little bit. Is that good enough? 1 removal spell isn't really going to beat an Infect player. I think we can mulligan because we've already got some dead stuff in there. Okay, this is a little bit better. We'll keep this. We'll get rid of the... Probably the Sejiri Steppe. Although that pitches quite nicely to a Chrome Mox. Sorry, a Mox Diamond. I guess we throw back the Sejiri Steppe. Yeah, so we'll see what our opponent does on turn 1. We might be in the... Okay, we don't have to plow on turn 1. That's good news. So we go Mox Diamond. Crack this. Hope they don't have Stifle. Do not have Stifle. So we'll get Savannah here. Cast Green Sun Zenith, where X is 1. Go and get the Reclaimer. That starts us cooking a little bit. Again, I just want to keep drawing lands with this deck. We're in a situation like this. Because if we just keep making land drops, we can do lots of cool stuff. Swords to Plowshares, sure. No threat from our opponent, then that's fine. Let's play this. It is into a daze, but we need to get our thing going. Alright, so we're going to see floating mana and then a daze, yeah. As expected. We're just trading resources off here. And then at some point, we can clean up their guys. And we'll be alright. Alright, no guys still from our opponent. A land? Not a land. These Mox Diamonds have been less than ideal for us. We've definitely been getting caught with Moxes in hands and no lands. There is a Glistener Elf. I'll straight up just plow this. A Scrubland. Do we think our opponent can kill us this turn? 4 cards in hand. It's certainly feasible. They haven't done any sculpting yet. They didn't have other threats in their hands. So what would they have in their hands at this point? Counter spells or... yeah, it's going to be lands or counter spells or pump spells. That's probably what our opponent's got in their hand. Some of their pump spells will protect this. I think we're just supposed to jam the Knight here. And cross our fingers for a turn. Because otherwise we could end up in the same spot. And if they have a Legolas' Quick Reflexes... alright, so they had a daze. Yeah, so if they had a Legolas' Quick Reflexes and we just held up the swords, then we're not beating them anyway. And I know Sam is very high on the Legolas' Quick Reflexes at the moment. Alright, so we're seeing a Ponder. That suggests to me that we're still alive for another turn. They shuffled their library. Okay, so we're probably getting done for 1 or 5 damage here. I don't like just firing out Invigorates because you can get some good action with the Berserk using them. Or with the Legolas Swift Reflexes to like dome some other guys. I brainstorm. I'm hoping that by playing the Knight out last turn as well, our opponent doesn't think we have any plows left. What we can do here is wait until after combat and then plow the Nexus. Because then if they waste any Legolas Swift Reflexes on it, then it's less... well, I suppose they still get to just tap it for mana and do stuff. So that's kind of annoying. But if they've got anything like Vines of Vastwood, which I probably don't think they're playing Vines of Vastwood anymore. So I don't know. Maybe the timing on this plow. The problem is if we go for a plow, they can just go over the top and kill us. Essentially. But if they have the Legolas Swift Reflexes, then they probably kill us anyway. Quick Reflexes, not Swift. Why do I keep saying Swift? Swift is a better name. I think we can all agree with that. Another Imp 1 Nexus. No attacks from our opponent. Not even like a little 1 damage there. That is interesting. Right, we're just passing here. We've got 2 pieces of removal up. Alright. They're animating this Nexus. I believe we are supposed to cast the Assassin's Trophy in response to this animation. Because if they want to spend another mana to activate it and then another mana to Legolas' Swift Reflexes, it's probably not doing that much this turn. Because they've kept up all their green mana rather than the option of another Nexus, which makes me think they're going to go tall into 1 Nexus this turn. And they can't Legolas' Swift Reflexes. Right, they're just floating a mana and letting it go. Alright. It's acceptable to me. Brainstorm. They could also animate this and then Legolas' Swift Reflexes to untap it. Surprised I didn't brainstorm in response to the trophy and get a free shuffle. Although they cast brainstorm and shuffled already, so they could have got a free shuffle on that, I think. But we don't know what's in their hand. They've got a lot of cards there, so it's clearly some stuff to be thought about. Alright. There is a Blighted Agent. We could be mana efficient and plow this now, but it goes into a daze, and I don't really like that. I'd rather untap and try and get it. Okay, this is pretty good for us. Black. White. Let's play Bowmasters. This way, if they pump it, they're pumping it on their turn. Oh, sorry, on our turn rather than their turn, so they don't get to... Okay. The Swift Reflexes. I'm down to attack for 1 here. So we don't get a token here because they countered the ability. But they've only got 2 cards in hand. They're about to have 3 cards in hand. And Embiggen. So this will... How big will this be? Phyrexian, Human, Rogues. This will be +4. This will make it a 5/5, so it won't be lethal. So we'll try and let them invest more cards into it. A Berserk. If the last card in their hand is Legolas' Swift Reflexes, then we do lose. Do we want this to gain +X +0? I think we have to go for the plow here. They got the reflexes. We do lose. We've already seen one. Alright, they just had the other one. Fair enough. Alright. We were pretty close. Our opponent had to have the second Legolas's quick reflexes there. So they did need those exact 3 cards to kill us that turn. Otherwise we get another turn. But it's no shame losing to Sam. He's like the best Infect player in Legacy at the moment. So, alright. Pretty close though. We did stumble on some land drops in some of the games, which definitely could have changed the impact of the game a little bit as well. We're kind of tripping over these Mox Diamonds a little bit too, which is a bit awkward. All right, let's go to round 2. Our opening hand doesn't look amazingly playable to me. I think we're going to go back in for another one. We have a turn 1 Knight of the Reliquary, I believe. So what do we have to do this? So we have to do Mox, Mox, Knight, and 3 lands. So one's getting discarded, one's getting discarded, the other one's getting put into play. Yavimaya is the highest upside in terms of what we can sacrifice, because we can just sacrifice anything then, but the forest is less likely to get taken out from underneath us. So I think we'll do it like this. Mox Diamond. Mox Diamond. Get rid of this. Play this. If they have a Force of Will, then we're kind of in trouble. Alright, we're just in. We made a 4-4 on turn 1, a 4-4 that can tutor for lots of annoying things to wreck our opponent's day. This is where they just turn 1 combo us. Uh-oh. This is going to be a hard matchup. If they're a Alert Spell deck. Alert Spell... If they're like a Prison-y deck, it might not be so bad. Fable. Okay, so they could be Painter, they could be Mono Red Prison, they could be Red-White Initiative. Solitude, the Red-White Initiative. And we now have no resources left. Alright. I understand the need for Mox Diamonds in the deck, but sometimes they can absorb a lot of your resources and leave you wanting. Is it worth hitting Fable the Mirror Breaker now to stop our opponent from looting? I think we're supposed to keep our Outland Liberator alive, because next turn it's probably going to flip. And then we can attack and blow up the Fable for free. So they're coming in, they're getting a guy. We could blow this treasure token up if that's what we're really into, but I don't think that's a winning proposition. I think the plan here is to flip our Outland Liberator soon, and then try and come in with it. So if we can draw like a Source of Plowshares, that'd be good. Alright, a Seasoned Dungeoneer. Alright. We can plow this creature out of the way. We can then attack for 2 and get some work going. Get to draw a card with initiative and stuff like that. Although we did not draw that. So our guy is going to flip. So he's going to be big enough that the following turn he can attack and blow up Fable unless they play 2 spells this turn, which will suck for us. But we haven't got the most amount of time to find a way around this game, as is the nature of Red-White Initiative. Yep, so we're going to take a big old chunk from this guy. We do get to kill the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, unless our opponent plays 2 spells right now. Or they play something so scary that we are not wanting to attack, like a Seasoned Dungeoneer would probably be the worst case. Like, at least a Cave of Chaos Adventure is something we can attack into because it's an X3. They are Touch of the Spirit Realming, the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. So they make another 2-2, and then if we attack, we do get to blow up their thing, but they get another 2-2 in the bargain. That's pretty ugly for us. Alright. Dark Depths is in the 1. I think we are attacking here. We get to blow this up. If they double block, we at least get to kill one of their guys. Yeah. So it ends up pretty similar to if we just blew the thing up in the first place. Alright. So we need to draw a Thespian stage next turn to have a chance at this game. Alright, so this is the majority of our life total going away now. If we make it 20-20, it's no longer good enough because of the Seasoned Dungeoneer damage, although we pretty much knew that would be the case anyway, because of how numbers work. Alright, they get to throw in the Dead 3 next turn as well. We'll keep playing just so we can see their throne activation and get a little bit of information about their deck. But I'm pretty sure this game is unwinnable now. This guy doesn't change that fact. So we're just going to scoop it up after we see the top 10 cards of our opponent's library. Fable, Fourth Lingus. Okay, nothing unusual there. Alright, so we got absolutely smoked there. On the play, I like the Thought Seizers. Don't like them on the draw, though. Assassin's Trophy, I do like. Collector Ouphe is not amazing. I can shut some stuff off, but it's not really worth it. Force of Vigor. No, we want to keep the Bowmasters purely because it's 2 creatures, so we can attack around it. So Sylvan Library probably goes along with this. I think it's the quick reflexes again that go. Or actually, no, we can get rid of Bojuka Bog over one of the reflexes because we might be able to like combat trick our opponent like a limited game. But I think that's probably about it there. Like Endurance is an okay-ish guy, but okay. We have removal, we have a guy. We keep this, it's acceptable. Alright, we'll pass it over. So they make a turn 1 creature, we can plow it and then drop our own creature. And we can use the Sejiri Steppe to take the initiative soon. No play from our opponent, that's pretty good news for us. That means we get to play a spell and do something like proactive, which is not always the easiest thing to do against the initiative deck. So we get to actually be the first one to commit a threat to the board. I imagine they're going to be playing a spell on turn 2. Alright, they're just playing this guy. Sure. If we don't find a land, we don't get to play the Knight of the Reliquary. But we at least have the plow as something we can do. Seasoned Dungeoneer. Sure. Don't like it, but it's there. Thoughtseize feels a little bit late, but I think we're probably committed to casting it here. Okay, we'll take their backup threat. We'll play the Sejiri Steppe. And now we know that they can't flicker this with Touch the Spirit, and we're going to see if they put the forge counters on the Seasoned Dungeoneer. If they do, we get to plow in response. Okay, they're just scrying. We'll let them scry, and then we'll kill the Dungeoneer before they draw one of the cards they've scryed, because they put one on the top as well. Magus of the Moon. That's probably going to be lights out for us, isn't it? We have Mox Diamonds, which is why we're going to leave this in hand. So if we draw a Mox Diamond, we can at least pitch. So we've got 4 things in our deck that we can draw to that unlock us a spell. I guess if we draw a green source, we can crop rotate for a plains as well. This isn't the biggest clock, but they have the initiative ticking down. So, right, a Bayou. If we get rid of this, we're probably going to want to fetch a basic. So we probably play out the Windswept Heath and use the Bayou to pitch to a Mox if that happens. Am I expecting to be able to pitch anything to a Mox? No. I'm expecting we're going to die before then. This doesn't feel great for us, this matchup. I know Initiative is very good against regular land style matchups. I'm not really sure how good it is against Green-White. I think we are better against them than lands are, but it doesn't take much for them to just run away with it. And our interaction points around lands getting cut off by something like a Magus feels pretty awkward. Alright, so they've got lethal damage coming in next turn, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 damage next turn. We're not playing Wrath of God. We don't have any white mana even if we were playing it. Yeah, we've just been absolutely smashed apart here. It wasn't even a game. Yeah. Didn't even feel like we were even playing the game there. Like the first one we had a big turn 1 play, but our opponent just answered it and then made a huge play of their own. So yeah, not going great so far. I think the first round was a really good round. I think there's a lot of back and forth. The gameplay was exciting. This one was just us getting rolled over, which is going to happen sometimes. Let's go to round 3. Round 3, we are being mocked by our deck a little bit with these Mox Diamonds. More like Mock Diamond. Alright, so we have a pretty potent hand here. I kind of want to cast this on turn 1, which means we're probably getting rid of the crop rotation. We just want to have more mana so that when we go off we have the Legolas' quick reflexes to back us up. So let's cast this. Go and get ourselves a little Dryad Arbor. So next turn we can play Stage and Sylvan Safekeeper. And we're just going to have like loads of layers of protection for what we're trying to do. Lotus Petal and Bayou. Dark Ritual. Is this the Epic Storm? Because we're not beating that matchup game 1. Alright, are we just getting turn 1 Witherbloomed? Have you got it? They do have it. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with this combo, they target themselves and they just loop it over and over and over and over again, and then they drain us up. Yep, we got turn 1. Not going to have a great time versus the old turn 1. So, Deafening Silence is good here. Thoughtseize is good here. Assassin's Trophy to remove their combo piece is good. Legolas' Quick Reflexes, again, not looking amazing. Sylvan Safekeeper, probably not where we want to be. They're not really a deck we need to remove the graveyard of, so that can go. We can probably get rid of the Karakas here, although this is a white mana, so I don't like boarding it out because it is a land for purposes of other stuff we're doing. We need to find one more cut here. Outland Liberator probably doesn't have much going on. We could board in a Collector Ouphe to shut down just Lotus Petals, but I don't think that's worth it. Alright, this is what we're working with. Again, I don't think this is the matchup that we are particularly well kitted out to beat. We kind of want to play against more fair matchups. Like their deck doesn't turn 1 very often, so I don't think we have to try and play into them having a turn 1, but we need to have something. The fact this doesn't have any removal or interaction means I think we have to mulligan. Alright, now this hand is way better. We can keep this. We throw back the Dark Depths. That's the proper thing for later, I think. Maybe we're supposed to throw back the Mox Diamond, but they're kind of both the same in a weird way, because neither of them taps for mana for us. We don't really have any other use for them unless they have something else, but this way we have the option of maybe making a turn 1 Bowmasters. That's the thing we're really interested in. We'll play out the Savannah, and I think I will play out this Mox Diamond on 1, because then we have 2 options here. We can apply a little bit of pressure, or we can kill a creature. There is a Bayou. There is an Unmask. Pitching an Unmask. Alright, I think we let them hit here, because then we're going to have a castable play after this resolves. Alright, taking the Plow. Right, we're going to jam this now just so we can get a little bit of pressure going, because if we give our opponent time, they will win. That's how combo decks work. You can't just lock them out of the game unless you've got like Sphere of Resistance and stuff. Actual proper lock pieces. Right, we go to attacks here. We can either get a Dryad Arbor to guarantee playing the Knight next turn. I think that is actually the plan here, isn't it? Sad as that is. Guarantees the Arbor next turn. Can also be more damage to beat down with if we don't have a Knight. They're cycling a Troll with their backup plan, like just scammy stuff. Probably reasonable. Also means like when they've got hands where Witherbloom isn't on the cards, they get to pitch them like the Smog and the Witherbloom to things like Grief. What does this do for us? We can Wasteland our opponent so they can't cast Chain of Smog. Feels like running this out means they're going to kill us next turn. So I feel priced into crop rotting away here. Get a Wasteland. Say no to Bayous in your area. We can't really attack because they've got a bigger creature than us. Alright, no land drops. So we may have bought ourselves some more time. We do need to deploy threats, and okay, that's a pretty good one. Let's get rid of this, and then we can start attacking with our minuscule damage, but it's something. And our opponent now has to rebuild, and they've only got 1 land in play. So maybe we found a little avenue through this game. In my experience, the Witherbloom combo decks leave a lot to be desired. I guess we're just going to hold up our removal spell. Problem is they could have Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal, and kill us if they have another Witherbloom and Smog. Grief. Right. Are they going to take our removal, or are they changing the way they're playing this game? Right, taking our removal. Are they going to reanimate this Grief? I think if they had reanimate, they would have reanimated the Troll. What do they pitch? Sorry. A Chain of Smog. Okay. Dark Depths, not the most useful, but if we draw a Thespian stage, we do get to win the game. And there's been a distinct lack of 2020 action in this league so far. Certainly not to my liking. I'm going to Thoughtseize away. Okay, they have a reanimate now. This is going to put them to 7. That's not a big number, is it? We've got a lot of lands in our graveyard, though. I know it'll be big if we can ever... we can Maze of Ith this, or how many lands we got? 1, 2, 3, And this will be 4. I was thinking about crop rotating for a Yavimaya so we can play the knight. I think I like that. Oh, we don't want to remove an ice counter. We want to add green mana. Play a chunky boy. So if our opponent attacks with the troll, they die. And next turn, we can make a 20/20 at instant speed, if that's what we want to do. Another knight. I think we're just going to make a 20/20 in our opponent's end step, because we float mana off of the Dark Depths and the Yavimaya, go and get a Thespian stage, and then our opponent will lose to that in theory. If they don't play a land here, then they have to Dark Ritual to Edict us as well. And they can't Shoulders Edict us because of our 1/1 army token. The other play we could have done was play the Knight of the Reliquary last turn, and then on our turn we go and get Sejiri Steppe and push through the final bits of damage. We have 2 lethal threats here. We should have played our land before going to attacks. But I think we're attacking with both of these, so they would need to Dark Ritual, double Shoulders Edict, and then they're still throwing their guy into the bus. Alright, so we got a win. We now need to replicate that in game 3. Bojuka Bog is something I'm more interested in now that I've seen some of what our opponent's about. So we'll get rid of a Karakas to accommodate it. And I like everything else here. I don't think we want Surgicals to fight that battle. I don't think that's where you want to be. Endurances, though. I'll take some Endurances. Sylvan Library we kind of need to dig to find the cards that win us the game. Maybe we don't need Maze of Ith. Although we have seen Troll, though. We get behind on the Troll. We're going to kind of want this. How do we fit in these 2 Endurances? That's the question. The Bowmasters doesn't feel great here. Maybe that's the one that goes here. We could get rid of this other Bowmasters and just bring in back this Karakas. Just to make sure we have lands, because we really need to keep hitting lands. Sure, that seems acceptable to me. Maybe with more creatures, the Legolas's Reflexes is better. We have Wasteland. That can help us out. We have Reclaimers. We just need another land for a bit of removal. I think this is keepable. Like, we're not beating any turn 1s. Witherbloom Apprentice has been disposed of. Let's see what they go for. This might make them get a basic off of their fetch hand as well. But they can't take us off Reclaimer this turn unless they reanimate, which I have to imagine is in their deck. Just going to take the removal and try and race. Alright, they've taken the removal, sure. No play though. Interesting. What's Savannah here? Let's play Deafening Silence. That means our opponent can't kill us next turn, because they would need to Dark Ritual and do the thing. So this should buy us a reasonable amount of time. No play. And they're keeping their lands safe from our Wasteland. Smart thing to do. Play this guy. We only have 1 more black card in the deck. I think we're just going to go get another Savannah here, because these are way better with Knight of the Reliquary than anything else. Actually, that's not true. We can get Scrubland, still does similar things, but... So we can Wasteland next turn to turn our guys into 3/4s if we want to be beaten down, but our opponent might not give us a Wasteland target. They are not doing that. Cycling a Troll. An Underground Sea. Okay, we didn't see blue mana before. That's interesting. Show and tell. So we put in the Knight, an Archon of Cruelty. Okay, we get rid of one of our little guys. And if we... Untapping this doesn't do us the most amount of favours. I think we are better off. So if we have the Maze of Ith, we can shoot her after we attack. But this will only be a 5/5. If we keep the Wasteland, we might be able to trick our opponent into... This is the way we can get a 6/6, right? So... Okay. Kind of annoyed we didn't get the black source now, but it is what it is. Right, so we go attacks here. We attack. I don't think our opponent's going to fall for this. We could Wasteland away their mana source here. So we're probably Elvish Reclaimering for a Dryad to sacrifice. And we don't have anything else. This is non-legendary, so that's not going to work for us. So then we just go and get Dryad Arbor here. Sacrifice our small guys. They got up to 18. It's quite a lot. We can hit for 11. But basically we're just trying to draw into Swords of Plowshares. And that's how we win this game. Now, Maze of Ith would save us a little bit of life if we had it. But This thing is just going to be crunching with its ability. Troll of Khazad-dûm. That's a big guy. So I have 2 lethal things here. But we can't get the Maze of Ith because it's there. Okay. It's not the one, is it? Nope, our opponent's got us there. The little sideboard Duke there was very potent. We are 0-3 with this deck. We are having a real nightmare with this one. Like, this was quite competitive, you know, we was back and forth. The sideboard Duke definitely got us. We got, you know, turn 1, that's pretty understandable to just scoop it up to that. But yeah, we're still in search for a match win. Let's go to round 4. Alright, our hand for round 4 looks very uninspiring to me. It's all mana and a blank card, so I think we're going to mulligan this one. This is a much better looking hand, so we can keep this. And we have choices. I think I would rather... It's tough here. I think it's either the Liberator or the Quick Reflexes that goes here. I guess Quick Reflexes is generally going to be more useful, I think. So we'll play a Bayou. We can crop rotate in response to a Wasteland. The plan is just drop Sylvan Library and ride that to victory. A tried and tested way of winning games of Magic the Gathering for sure. We're also against Stryfo, who plays Stryfo Pile. Right. They're not wastelanding us here. Interesting. So now we have a Wasteland. Right, we'll play out the Scrubland and pass. We kind of want to get this crop rotation off in the face of a Wasteland if we can help it. We'll Scrubland from our opponent. A Sylvan Safekeeper. Now the problem is our colours don't work out amazingly for us here. If we do this, we lose green if they wasteland us. But I think we can't afford to play scared forever. Also, Stryfo's on something different today because they've got Scrubland over here, which isn't in Stryfo because it's a non-white control deck. So we're probably going to see little bow boys maybe at end of step. There's the bow boys. So we can do some pretty gross things with Knight of the Reliquary and Legolas' Quick Reflexes. So maybe we'll actually get to live the dream of just machine gunning out a Marit. Grief. Pitching Baleful Strix. Okay, we're on some sort of Esper build. Which of our lovely tools do you want to take here? Both the Library and the Reflexes have a lot of play. Here's our crop rotation. This suggests our opponent has another Bowmasters, so they can ping and take this down. I'm not about that. Alright, so taking out our black source. That's very strong. Brought back. Opponent's on the Spice. So we're going to lose the Reflexes now, I think. Nope, okay. So we might still be able to get to double 2 to this turn. Swords to Plowshares. I don't hate that one. Get rid of this Grief now. We have a chance. We can Wasteland. They're only black source. Sacrifice this. Go and get a basic forest so we can't be wastelanded off of it. We could then Quick Reflexes this. Attack and then 2 to 4. Another Wasteland? That doesn't really make sense. They've kind of already telegraphed the Bowmasters. I think we just hold up the Reflexes here. Like, if this Knight goes, that's our entire game at this point. And I don't have anything scary that makes us want to ping off with the Reflexes. Right, I'm down with this. Go attacks. We have the biggest game in town. I don't think we need to deploy anything else to the board. We're ahead right now. Interesting that our opponent didn't block last turn and didn't attack. I guess they know we got the Swift Reflexes, but it's not really worth it for us. Maybe we were supposed to crack this. We've missed 1 point of damage here. Let's cast a little 3-2. 3-4, sorry. But as long as we've got this Legolas' Quick Reflexes, the Swords to Plowshares that they might have is not going to do very much. Alright, we've got another one. That's pretty exciting. We're just going to ride these little guys. These Reflexes are actually doing some work. Right, so now we've got the block coming in. Opponent goes to 3. There's a Wasteland. A Recruiter of the Guard. There's going to be a Solitude. Looks something weird and wonderful. Solitude, there it is. A Grief. They get to take one of our things, but the Solitude can't take both. But the Solitude won't be able to kill both of our guys because we still have the Reflexes. And the Reflexes, one Reflexes saves both of our creatures because we can go and get Sejiri Steppe. Right, taking a Safekeeper. Interesting. We can get Cabal Therapied. We have lethal damage, so they have to block, because we can untap the knight and then activate his ability and put another card in our graveyard. A Solitude. Pitching Palace Jailer. You would like to say no to my knight, would you? We will do this with this mana, I think. Alright, they've had enough. Okay, didn't look like it at first, but we managed to get there. So, some sort of graveyardy nonsense going on for sure. I think we want endurances, and I think we want removal. The reflexes were pretty reasonable here. But that's mainly because we had a base of creatures. I'm not really big on this Safekeeper. Bowmasters kills Bowmasters, that's fine. They haven't shown us anything that we want to Karakas yet. Yeah, it gets tough. It's always tough sideboarding from this spot. I guess the Liberator we don't require. The Library into the Bow Boys I don't like very much. That leaves us trying to find one more slot. Is it the Karakas? Haven't shown us any Karakasable things yet. Alright, we'll try it without a Karakas. Maybe we could be boarding on Moxes because this is going to be quite a resource intensive game. Alright, this hand seems pretty good. Where have these hands been all league? These are nice ones. Let's play a Reclaimer on one. Is this just get plowed straight away? No, okay. Flooded Strand. Play Yavimaya and hold up the Elvish Reclaimer. We will need a white source soon. There's a Scrubland from our opponent. We're going to see a little orc friend. Because we need a white source, we can block the Bowmaster. And then if they try and do a ping, we can get to Sejiri Steppe. Brought back on those two lands. We can't Bojuka Bog because the Bojuka Bog is in our hand. So our opponent's just going to get two lands into play. It's pretty sick. Prismatic Ending. Like I said, we want to get a white source anyway. And this costs us no cards to answer one of our opponent's cards. They can take out our white source, they can take out our green source, sure. If they don't have another piece of removal there, we can obviously fetch up some other colours anyway. Brought back. Alright, they're going to wasteland us again when they get the chance. Let's wasteland. I guess we're just going to wasteland our opponent's wasteland here. And then we're just going to bash for 3. Holding up Plow. Next turn. Maybe we can draw a land and go and fetch a coloured source, or maybe we just draw a coloured source. Our opponents might be doing something like a troll this turn. Got a lot of mana up over there. It's all white mana as well. Mole Drifter. Well, I'm a big fan of this. If you play Mole Drifter, you're living the dream. Not such a big fan of that. I don't think it's worth playing this when we're so far ahead in life totals. I think this is better than getting access to the plow, because I don't really want to plow a Mole Drifter, and if we just hang this out there, the Wasteland can get us. This way, if they play a troll, we can play the white source and then kill it. Recruiter of the Guard, you say? Alright. There's a Solitude. Soul Herder. That's definitely something I want to kill. But they're going to be getting a lot of value here. Question is, can we kill them before the value gets us? Probably not at this rate. Right, Solitude's going to get us here. Pitched another brought back. Right, we need to get rid of this Soul Herder, that's for sure. That's step 1 of the equation here. Because we can't allow this engine to just be chugging along. It sees itself get exiled, that's interesting. Okay, so they've got a clock. It's a 7-turn clock, but they've got a grip for the cards. It's pretty good, but it doesn't add to the clock, but they can bounce their own Recruiter, which is pretty good. Makes our quick reflexes look a lot worse. Alright. A Mox Diamond we can't do anything with. We don't get to cast any of our hands, so we are just passing the turn here. These Mox Diamonds have really unimpressed me this league. Like, Mox Diamonds without a way to recur cards from your graveyard does not feel great to me. Like, a Ramnap Excavator would change things a lot. Just have one of those to green some Zenith for. But I think we are getting Espered out here. Nope, so this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is basically a 2-turn clock. If we don't draw anything now, we're probably dead anyway. Interesting doing that before combat. Like, we're dead next turn anyway, so. Echoing Deeps. Nope. Okay, we're going to game 3. Kind of more into these surgicals now. I'm seeing a little bit more what our opponent's up to. But where would I fit them in is the sort of the question we're asking ourselves. I think we can have one in over a Legolas Swift Reflexes, but I think these are probably going to be, excuse me, pretty reasonable. Oh, actually, maybe a Trimmer Mox. No, we haven't got time for that. All right. What does this hand do? Doesn't really play Magic, does it? We have to mulligan. Our colours are not forthcoming. All right, we can keep this, and what do we get rid of here? I kind of want to get rid of the Mox Diamond and just play lands out. What am I doing? Why did I do that? That was our green source. Okay, I deserve to lose this game. Absolutely punted that one. Oh, God. I'm just having a real bad time with these Mox Diamonds, and it's making me very biased against them. When that was actually the situation we wanted them. If I just stop for a second to think about it. Additional colour is definitely not free in this deck. Alright. Scrubland. Alright, so next time we can maybe draw that Depths and win. Or any green source can win the game for us. Wow, not necessarily win the game. It can make us gain 20 life when they solitude us. But a Recruiter of the Guard. Yep, can't do anything about that. Let's turn us into plains. Alright, being mocked by my terrible choice to keep. And throw away the Mox. Sure. Another Recruiter. And a Solitude. So our next turn, our opponent is going to... yeah, so next turn they're going to brought back after doing both of these, and it's going to be really sweet. So I'm glad for our opponent they get to do that. But we just have some basic plains, and maybe we'll draw a green source. Or maybe we'll draw a Dark Depths. We don't have a green mana source to protect what we're doing, though. That is a problem. And what they'll do is they'll Wasteland us, and then they'll cast Brought Back. So if they Wasteland us, then we make the guy in response. Then we get the guy, then they Solitude it, and they get them both back. Or they Grief first, probably, and then they get the Grief and the Wasteland back. But they'll get the Wasteland back regardless. So that's pretty terrible for us. I don't think we have any good options. If we don't have a green mana source, though, I think we definitely punted this one. We could have had this one. They've pitched a Grief, sure. So they Wasteland us. Yeah, we're not going to throw away all of our lands for this. We're just going to let that go. Yeah, because they're bringing this back anyway. And we know they've got an answer to our 2020. So it's just a disaster if we just lean into that, really. Imagine how different this game would have been with a green source. Speaking of green sources. This changes a whole bunch of stuff, really. So we get to cast this guy. We get to get rid of this Wasteland. And then next turn we don't have protection because Sejiri Steppe is in play. We don't have anything like an Urza Saga to start getting into this game with. Alright, so now they're just recruiting a bunch more. More Solitudes. Probably more Solitudes. Palace Jailer. That doesn't sound very friendly, does it? I don't understand how we beat this parade of value. I think we can skip this one up. I think we're done. Yikes. We definitely punted that one by not keeping the Mox Diamond to begin with. That was my bad. For sure. I think we probably still lose to the running Solitudes that our opponent can muster. But we would have at least had a lot more of a chance to maybe getting underneath that. But yeah, we're trying to dodge the 05. Yuck. Let's go to the final round. Our opening hand doesn't have any lands that work, so we're going to have to mulligan this. Ugh. We're in this horrible situation again. I don't think we can keep this. Alright, this is the best one we've seen so far. We do have our colours, so this time I can get rid of this Mox Diamond. And I think we get rid of a land and keep... So it's probably the Karakas. We keep our colours. This hand is fine, though. But it's just like a fair green player hand. And that's not how I like to play Magic the Gathering, if I'm being honest with you. Alright. We'll play a Bayou. This way, if we need to crop rotate, we can do that. Feels like our opponent might be a reanimator. Oh, no. We're on some Death Shadow stuff here. Troll of Khazad-dûm. So now crop rotating is a bit scary. If we get our crop rotation counterspell, then we fall very far behind. Alright, at least they've spent a wasteland into it. Right, we get this Bojuka Bog, take out this troll, so we don't have to worry about that attacking us. I think that turn actually went pretty well for us. A Mox Diamond, that allows us to play around days if we so wish. And I do wish. Right, so this will get us a Savannah, I think. And play this Mox. Pitch the Scrubland. X is 1, go and get a Reclaimer. And then we're most of the way to a 2020. Alright, forget about that. We're not most of the way to 2020. Our opponent is close to a Death Shadow though. Alright, let's cycle to Street Wraith, cast a Ponder. Let's see where this takes them. Hopefully right into the bin so we can dominate them with our 2020 action. Alright, they've made a 4/4 Death Shadow. That is larger than I would like. This being a copy of something, does that help us? No. We play out the Thespian stage. We don't have any basics to copy with it, which is annoying. But we play out the stage now so that if we draw a Dark Depth next turn, we can try and clock our opponent that way. Alright, a Wasteland. That's not the one we wanted to see. Just 4 though, so we've got a few turns that we can take this damage. Our white removal spells are very good against our opponent here. Alright, so we have a Windswept Heath, so we can go and get a basic and turn the Thespian stage into a basic if our opponent tries to Wasteland. But if we crack the fetch, they might Wasteland in response. Delta, we're going to see a Murktide Regent, I believe. Right, just making the guy bigger. I don't think we need to get a Dryad Arbor to block with, but maybe that's the thing we need to think about. Problem is, they have this Wasteland. If we crack this, we are definitely dead next turn. So I guess we pass. An Elvish Reclaimer. Right, that is something we can play. So I think our plan is to Thespian stage copying their Wasteland and see if that gets a reaction out of our opponent. And then if it does, I don't think we're supposed to play out this Echoing Deeps. Because if they do Wastelands our stuff, we can at least play it next turn as a copy of Thespian stage or whatever. So we are going to Thespian stage copying the Wasteland. And see if we get to block here. Actually, we can copy the Swamp. Is that better than the Wasteland? No, we copy the Wasteland because they're more likely to try and activate the Wasteland here. Oh, they just let us do it, have they? Cut this. Under the bust you go, Dryad Arbor. Okay, like Swords to Plowshares is very good here, but they are displaying full Force of Will mana. Not something I have a great belief we can beat. They've gone for that now, sure. So our Echoing Deeps can become a copy of that. I would like a Thespian stage, please. So we have to block with our Reclaimer, which can get us a Dark Depths. So basically we're just trying to draw that Swords to Plowshares. Removal spell kills us here. We have to block. That's my blocks. Let's go to this Bojuka Bog. They've already played their land, so we can get a 2020 to block with for next turn, which is the win play rather than the try to lose play. Try not to lose, which is the Maze of Ith, but that loses to Wasteland, whereas this doesn't, because our opponent's already played a land. There's a Ponder. We lose to Borrower instead of Wasteland, but they've got 3 more Wastelands in their deck, and they've only got 1 to 2 Borrowers. They shuffle their library off that Ponder. Alright, they're scooping it up. Whoo! Thread the needle. That was a 2020 win. I'll take it. So, how do I want to approach this one? Gadok T can stop Force of Wills and Snuff Outs, if that's the thing we're interested in. Assassin's Trophy will kill their guys. I'm interested in doing that. Endurance can stop their Electrites coming down. I'm interested in that. Outland Liberator, no text. Karakas, no text. Bojuka Bog does have text. These quick reflexes have been a bit of a burden sometimes. But they do help us ping out some annoying things too. Maybe I'll trim a Mox. So I keep getting jammed up with multiple Moxes. Let's try that. We wanted to see these Legolas' quick reflexes, but I don't think we should be running 3 here. Alright. We have turn 1 Bowmasters. Or turn 1 Reclaimer. This seems acceptable to me. Get your Street Wraiths out. There's a Ponder. Off of a basic island. Probably the only... they got 1 of each basic in their deck, I think. Alright. Quite into having the old forest here. Let's do this Mox Diamond. And I believe we're pitching the Cradle here. And then we're just going to cast this around Daze. I don't think we're going to Mox Diamond for a Dryad Arbor there into Daze. You can save that and get some like actually good cards instead. Brainstorm, all right. Oh, they were Brainstorm locked and had enough. They kept Street Wraith, Ponder, Brainstorm Island, and didn't find a second land. So we did get a match. Our hand was actually pretty good here. I think we're relatively odds on to win this game anyway, even if they start playing some stuff, unless their hand is like absolute gas. But we got our victory. Sure, let's have a look at our quick game log. So 2-0, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 0-2. So we did take quite a lot of games along the way, and we did punt against Stryfo. So that's on us a little bit. Now, I think we still lose that game just the way that our opponent's deck functions. Is just constantly getting all these things that are going to jam us up. But we definitely had a chance at winning this one. All right, let's talk about the deck. As you can probably imagine from watching this league, I didn't have a lot of fun with this one, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's not quite my style of deck, and I think playing black... So I've played Naya decks before, which I think I like more because I really like Minsk and Boo with a card, because it's a big business spell that does something. And it felt like our deck had a lot of air and wasn't really doing anything. So basically we had these business spells, and then obviously these are more copies of these. We can't always afford to cast them. We're having a lot of mana troubles, which is wild if you look at how many lands we have in our deck. But yeah, so we had this, and we had kind of like Orcish Bowmasters can be amazing, obviously, but it's not a good threat to pressure with. It's kind of a disruptive piece that can sometimes pick off something. So, you know, it's a very powerful card. But if we're not getting pressure off of it, then it doesn't feel like it's helping a lot of our game plan, if I'm being honest. And we're paying a reasonable price here because we are stretching our mana base to include another colour just for these 3 cards. And I honestly think maybe just playing green-white is probably stronger. I think the quick reflexes... I think 3 quick reflexes is a lot of sort of air in the deck, because these are sometimes not going to do what you want. I think they require you to already be doing something, you know, having a Reliquary, a Reclaimer, or a Merit in place. They already require you to be doing something. Now, it's quite nice to have them, and we definitely did win a game because of them. But 3 of them is a lot to have when they already require other stuff to be useful. A lot of the time, I would have rather just have some prismatic endings or some Assassin's Trophy out the sideboard in the main, that sort of thing. I think this is more of like a sideboardy type effect, because we boarded them out in a lot of games. I think there's only one game where we kept some in, really, where we kept the full number in. So that's something to think about. Also, I think Outland Liberator is an odd one. If you're going to have a Green Sun Zenith target that does just win you the game, like if you're having a silver bullet, it needs to be a silver bullet that is real strong. And I think Collector Ouphe should be in the main instead of the Outland Liberator, because the matchups where you Green Sun Zenith for Collector Ouphe in game 1, that will win you the game a lot of the time, whereas not so much here. Sylvan Safekeeper is not a card that I particularly like. I understand why it's here. I've definitely played my fair share of them over the years, but I found ourselves struggling for mana. And the whole thing of Mox Diamond ramping you out, it wasn't really ramping us out into very much. So 2 mana on turn 1 means that we can sometimes cast Bowmasters, Library, Reclaim around Daze, which is, you know, reasonable, or Green Sun Zenith for a Reclaimer. So those are all fine things to do. And it does accelerate us a turn to Knight of the Reliquary. I'm not saying you should be cutting your Mox Diamonds from your Green-White Depths decks, but I think some of what we're getting out of them isn't amazing, and if we just had a way of recurring some lands from the graveyard, I think I would feel a lot better about it. So, like, a single Ramunap Excavator used to be, like, really common in these decks, and I really enjoyed that. That just felt like a thing that you could go and get, and it would, you know, change the matchup dramatically. It would just put your opponent in a Wasteland lock. Like, we only have 2 Wastelands here, so we can't really, like, Wasteland lock our opponent in any sort of meaningful way. So if I were to change this, and if you want to keep the Black Splash, I think you want to change an Outland Liberator into a Collector Ouphe. I think you want to turn Legolas' Quick Reflexes into Ramunap Excavator, so you've got one of those, and then it's a case of what are you doing with these 3 cards? Because I think Sylvan Library is obviously a very powerful Magic the Gathering card, and you can just not do the thing if they have a Orcish Bowmasters or something in play. So I think we probably do keep the Sylvan Library. It's these other quick reflexes. They require us to already be doing something that we want to be doing. And also I think there's a lot of redundancy between having the Swift Reflexes and the Sylvan Safekeeper. I don't think you need both if that's the thing you want to do. So you could always take out the Sylvan Safekeeper and leave in a couple of Reflexes, maybe. Something like this. And then you have your Collector Ouphe, your Ramunap Excavator, and maybe just another piece of removal. So like an Assassin's Trophy or something in the main. Just a little bit more to get us some interaction going. But I am nowhere near an expert on this deck at all. This is not my brand of depths I play. Like, I used to play lands back in the day, a long time ago. Various different breeds over the years. And obviously I'm, you know, the Turbo Depths guy. Whereas this is something in the middle. And I don't fare very well when I play this deck. I do struggle with it. I've recorded a few leagues in the past. I've played it on my own. And I don't get on with the deck. So my advice on this one isn't necessarily the best thing to listen to. But I kind of felt like having endurances instead of Bowmasters and just being green-white might have been nicer a lot of the time. And that would probably be where I would want to sort of err towards. Now, obviously, I know Bowmasters is a phenomenal card and does a lot of stuff. But it's not a free thing to play. I think there are some real costs in the mana base. And if we're replacing... Like, if you look at the threat profile of an Endurance versus a Bowmasters, like, an Endurance is just a better threat, right? It's just going to be able to beat down for a reasonable amount and do some good stuff, as well as also having that nice interaction element that Bowmasters has too. So obviously if you do that, you do need to have a little bit more removal. But Bowmasters is also very good against Bowmasters. We don't really care about enemy Bowmasters, so there is that front too. There's definitely some tweaks to be made. I've had a look at a fair few of these lists, and I am nowhere near an expert. Maybe Echoing Deeps could just be another Wasteland. I do like Wasteland a lot, and they do win you a lot of games, Wastelands, as a general rule. So those are kind of my thoughts on where this deck is. We obviously didn't have a great league with it. Now, some of that is definitely down to me. Some of it I obviously picked up on. Some of it I probably didn't. I probably made some mistakes along the way, that's for sure. Like I said, this is not really my brand of Dark Depths style deck. But I thought it was important that we played it for December. And somebody did post this list that they took to Eternal Weekend in my Discord. And I thought, well, you know, I'll give it a go. I'll try to not embarrass myself too much. Not necessarily sure that I didn't avoid embarrassing myself, but not every league is going to be an absolute banger. We're probably going to jam some more Turbo Depths before December is out, and that usually goes a lot better for us. And at least I know what I'm doing in those matchups a little bit more. All right, I hope you enjoyed this one. It's something a little bit out of my comfort zone, despite having a lot of cards that you would expect me to be relatively familiar with. I just think the way that they combine in this deck is kind of odd to me. And it does feel a lot of the time like you've got nothing going on. But then sometimes you just have all these options as well. It's kind of a weird feast or famine style deck. It's really interesting. I'm glad that it's part of the metagame, but it's not personally for me, I don't think. All right. Like and subscribe if you're still here and you haven't already. It really does help the channel out with the algorithm, especially with Christmas coming up. Or this video should be out before Christmas anyway. So with Christmas coming up, it really helps to push me in the algorithms, get people watching me, because if you drop out the algorithms, it becomes a bit awkward. Anyway, plug over and done with. Thank you so much for watching and taking this journey of failure with me. I appreciate it. And goodbye.
If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbo Depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbo Depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.